Hello and welcome to Skimo Gold, the premier podcast and YouTube show for ski mountaineering interviews and race analysis. Glad to welcome today's guest, Mark Koob of Rocky Mountain Skimo. If you're out at the races in Colorado, Mark is the guy. He's running and skiing around like crazy, putting those flags out, marking the course, getting things ready, giving us the announcements, pushing out those Instagram updates about what the course is going to be. It's a lot of work, it's a lot of fun, and Mark does a great job. I wanted to bring you a conversation to find out who is the guy behind Rocky Mountain Skimo, also a little bit more of the history of Rocky Mountain Skimo and what used to be the Cosmic series. And furthermore, our real focus in this conversation is what are the courses and which ones might be good for you and your friends and your family. Maybe you're a super experienced skimo athlete and you want the really hard technical stuff. Maybe you are new to the sport and you're looking for something that's a little bit more accessible. It's more simple downhills on the groomers, so on and so forth. Mark and I talk about there's really a course for everyone. In fact, there's many courses for everyone, and I think that's what's great about this conversation and about the series that they're doing with Rocky Mountain Skimo. Find them online. Just Google Rocky Mountain Skimo. They're on Instagram as well. Tons of information out there. That is the website I go to find the race calendar and to send my athletes who I'm coaching, if they want to find races, go to Rocky Mountain Skimo, and they have a great calendar with their own events, but also with all of the other events on there as well, which is a very nice community service. Thanks as always to Camp for supporting the podcast, and also Redmond Relight, great electrolyte drink mix product. If you want 15% off on Redmond Relight and their other products, go to redmond.life and put in code Skimo Gold, all lowercase, for 15% off. All right, folks. Thanks as always. Time to roll on Skimo Gold. Mark Koob, Rocky Mountain Skimo. Welcome to Skimo Gold. Really appreciate you spending some time with us today. I think that you are in your van. This is a blue van that all of us in the Skimo community here in Colorado know well. Rocky Mountain Skimo painted across the side. In fact, I saw it in downtown Denver a few weeks ago, and I was like, oh yeah, Mark's in Denver, and I'm usually not in Denver as well. So there we were. But it was good to see
Yeah,
the van, and yeah,
it was
man, thanks for joining us.
super random. Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, it was super random seeing you completely out of context. It was great.
It's
So
funny, it's the people that and you only see them in lycra or helmet or your cycling friends.
exactly.
Sometimes you do it like, man, who is that? Oh, that's who that is. And wow, they do something other than hang out in the cold. So what's going on with you, Mark? Where are you coming in from? It's January 8th. I think that you have a race tonight, and you said that it's
Yeah, I got
snowing in Summit County. Are you in the parking lot at Breck there or what?
yeah, I'm at the Peaks Trailhead because the parking situation in Breckenridge Resort is a mess this year. But it happens. It happens. Yeah, it's snowing. Have a race in a couple hours. Just finished setting course. So yeah. Um, didn't dress up all normal. Like I didn't dress up just so people would recognize me in this, but have a race today. So
Excellent. I love it. Well, the YouTube audience can see your awesome Sportiva Rocky Mountain Skimo jacket. And if you're listening only to the audio, you'll just have to mention or imagine Mark's beautiful face here. So, Mark,
right.
before we get into Rocky Mountain Skimo, those who don't know you, what should we know in terms of background? I see you at these races, and I see you on the mic, and given that start gun and the race info, mostly I see you like running around like crazy, marking the course, setting flags. Like there's so much going on. I can tell that you get a huge workout putting these races on. But I don't even know what's your background, and how did you even come to the sport of skimo?
Yeah. So I'm from Idaho, moved to Colorado, 15 years ago. I was a snowboarder, did the whole split board thing. I actually think my first I did my first Skimo race, I think in like 2013 at Wolf Creek on a split board, right when the Phantom bindings first came out, and was on the ultralight split board setup, and it was a 30-40 inch powder day at Wolf Creek. So I had a lot of fun. It was a great first race experience watching all the people with, at the time I thought, I mean, I guess I still think they're silly skinny skis, like wallowing and struggling. And
Yeah.
then I think that, yeah. And so that was my first like taste of Skimo. And then I taught middle school for 11 years up here in Summit. And at a parent teacher conference, Scott Westcott, a former owner of Wilderness Sports up here,
Hmm.
we didn't talk about school things for his kids. We talked about Skimo, and he's like, I have these boots that you can like run a 5K in. And I was like, what? Blew my mind. I'm like, I have snowboard boots. They're comfy. And so the Summit Skimo Club and Wilderness Sports threw a little like demo day at the Frisco Tubing Hill, and I tried a pair of PDG skis and boots and was just blown away. And well, I did a got a pair later that spring, and the first pair of skis I ever bought were Skimo race skis. so so I didn't know
Awesome.
how to ski, and just kind of went for it. And then yeah, started taking the racing and then traveling. I saw that you had Joe Howdy Shell as a coach. I on a couple weeks ago, months ago, and I hired
Hmm.
him and started taking the Skimo race thing pretty seriously, and it was it was a lot of fun. And then I kind of got out of the race scene when I have a 6-year-old, almost 7-year-old, so I haven't been seriously racing for about 6 years. And
Hmm.
then yeah, then I started helping out at some of the races around here, helping Cosmic, Joe Reese at the time, and Maverick Sports, Breck Five Peaks, helping set course and doing some of that, and really enjoying that aspect almost as much as racing. And so that's kind of what that next step was I was getting out of teaching. COVID had kind of slowed some the race directors is down, and like Joe Reese had a kid, and so like it just, and then Olympics, Skimo got accepted in the Olympics, and I was like, I think there's enough stars aligning that I can kind of try to make this happen. I picked up a bunch of races from Cosmic. I picked up a bunch of races from Breck Rec Center. The one that I have tonight is the Breck Ascent series. And then yeah, from Mav Sports, Five Peaks, and so ended up kind of accumulating 4 or 5 big race weekends, and a handful of local series races, all kind of in one fell swoop. And it was like, let's make this work. And
Yeah.
so that's kind of been that. Um, and yeah, I really enjoy the setting the course, the aesthetic of a skin track, the heavy
Hmm.
packs, and like 100-hour work week to have like a big thing. My background was I was a band teacher, and so you spend a whole
Mm.
semester preparing a concert,
Yeah.
preparing for a big event. And so I was like, oh, this is kind of like the Skimo was kind of similar. It's like, oh, prepare, get all the lining everything up for one performance. And from a race
Hmm.
director standpoint, the race is like a performance, is the event. And you have like people, I think when I first started doing it, people are like, do you get nervous before the race? I was like, well, the hour before the race, everything's kind of, it is what it is at this point. And so it's like, actually,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's no room. There's a big rush until bid pickup, and then it's just kind of going, and the event's happening. And so it's been a fun 4 years. I think this is my fourth winter doing it full time in the winter. And so
Cool. Well, nice. Good for you, Mark. I think you're doing a great job with it. I do as many of the races as I can, and I think it's a great atmosphere, great community, well organized. And that's interesting, the connection to a band concert. Anyone who has experience with middle schoolers knows the dynamism of getting many middle schoolers to be in the right place at the right time on the right note. There's a lot of moving parts, and similarly, putting on a ski race, it's highly dynamic, and you've got it, boy, even just looking at the last few weeks, you could have some days that are 50 degrees, and then it could be 10 below zero and dumping snow, and all of these things have to line up for a gun to go off, at 8 a.m. or whatever the starting time is.
Yeah, and it's super fun because like Breck, the Five Peaks. I was just think like I'm here at Breckenridge, so I was thinking about Five Peaks. I've had races where it's snowed 20 inches. I've had races where it was negative. I was on the summit setting course and it was negative 10 degrees, and we had to change the course at 1 a.m.
Mhm.
for a 7 a.m. start. And so it's kind of a yeah, very dynamic.
Yeah. Cool. Good for you. Yeah, I used to be a high school teacher as well in a previous career, and I think teaching is a good background for just about anything. It teaches to be flexible and creative, to work with people. And I would, as you were saying that, I wonder, are any of your former students now on the Skimo circuit? Are you in touch with any of them now as they're teenagers or maybe young adults?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't teach Grace Stayberg. I taught her daughter or her sister. Like, and so there's like
Mhm.
a couple people that like Sam Westcott was in my class and he was on the U.S. team, and yeah, Sam Burke was on the U.S. team. So yeah, so it's been fun seeing that. And then I help out with Summit Skimo Club up here, and there's a bunch of youth. I think we have a 40 something people on the youth team,
Oh,
and
cool.
yeah, and so that's kind of what these Breck Ascent races have been geared towards regularly. I have it on a Thursday during their practice to try to get as many of the kiddos to attend, and so that's kind of I mean my first couple races on skis were the Breck Ascent races, and um they I've kind of changed them a little bit from what they used to be was just an ascent to now it's like all right, we have an
Mhm.
ascent for an easy course, medium course is the two ups and one down, and then a more of a long course which is three ups two downs, and so and a boot pack
Yep.
if we can manage it, and so it's trying to gear these local races more towards people getting into the sport, you know?
Yeah. Oh,
So
excellent. Nice. And shout out to those younger athletes on the Summit program and on Silver Fork. And let's see, where are the other programs? We got Vail. I know there's one in Bend, Oregon. Of course, the young athletes on the US Skimo organization. It's just I did your vertical race at Wolf Creek earlier this season. And Mark, I couldn't
okay, Lobo
believe
Loco got the
there you go, Lobo Loco. He's wearing the hat right now, folks. And I don't know, there were, in my estimation, like maybe there were 100 people on the starting line, and I swear at least 60 of them were probably college age or younger. And I just think that is so cool that there's all these young folks coming out and getting into this and putting on the spandex. And they are fast. These young men and women are fast and fit and serious, and it's just really cool to see that growing, and you're one of the people who through your coaching and then by creating this infrastructure to have events, you're playing a big role in that. And I also enjoyed seeing what appeared to be a number of families out there where clearly one or both parents and a kid or two, maybe everyone's racing, maybe just one person racing, but it's a great family atmosphere. In fact, the Wolf Creek race a couple years ago, I did with my son, who would have been in seventh grade at the time, and we had a blast. And you have a good mix of courses. Like at that time, it was good for him to do kind of the intro level race with one smaller climb, one groomer descent, and like for a seventh grade kid to just do it alone and race hard and like I don't know, he probably finished top three or something. Like he thought it was awesome. He had a blast.
one of the tough questions people have been asking me for is I've gotten more in the last year people asking for easier courses, like more easier ski
Mhm.
descents. And so that's
Yeah.
kind of like my first year. It was like, oh, let's find the coolest, hardest lines at like Wolf Creek. Like let's make it a really interesting. I mean, like the Winter Park race coming up the end of the month, the USA National Cup race at Winter Park. It's all like there's some tree runs and everything's a bump run pretty much. So it's like not easy skiing, and so
Yeah. Mary
that's
Jane, baby,
a
big long
yeah, I
moguls.
know it's yeah, it's great, but it's that barrier to entry for some of those races is a challenge, and so that's kind of been a new perspective on how to like turn trying to have a citizen um, short course is what the USA Skimo calls it in the long course. So, I mean, beginner, intermediate, advanced ish type of things is like what I have here at the Breck race, and trying to do that to get more people into the sport. Because I mean, I I like going uphill. I don't really like going downhill. Like I, skiing makes the downhill so much better, you know. And so
Mhm.
um,
Nice.
so how do you get the whole there's a lot more people like that love going uphill but don't necessarily know how to ski that well. I didn't know how to ski very well when I first started,
Mhm.
and there was no. I mean, I remember like cartwheeling down the east wall at A Basin on one of their Alpenglow race, like citizen race series.
Yeah.
Like the first descent was the east wall. I was like, I can't ski this. So, like, so,
Yeah. Or the
so,
Heathen Challenge at Sunlight,
oh yeah,
another a wonderful race, but that was one of my first races, and I was at that same level mark in 2009. Like it took me forever and ever to make it
hmm
down that and it's great skiing, now that I'm a better skier and I see
yeah.
at the high level, yes, this
You
is
just point it.
part
You don't
of the
have to
downhill
turn, right?
challenge. Yeah, yeah, but it's yeah. I mean, I totally see what you're saying, and these are conversations I have with athletes I coach, with people who are getting into the sport, or with friends and acquaintances who have been into the sport and are very good skiers. Different people want different things, so that's challenging as a race director. And
Mhm.
if you can, and of course it requires more work on your part, but if you can hit all of those things, or maybe throughout the season have a range of options available, that's great. And I see you doing that. I'm looking here at RockyMountainSkimo.com, and it's a great resource for many reasons. People got to check it out. Lots of good stuff on there. But you have this is where I always go. When are the races? Or if I have a client who wants to do, I'm like, go to RockyMountainSkimo.com, because you have your races on there, but then you also have other races that you don't direct, but you have kind of two separate calendars, which is perfect. But when I look at yours, Mark, with Rocky Mountain Schema, there's a mix. Early season, you got the, as you said, El Loco Lobo in Wolf Creek, always one of my favorites. You have a number of them in Summit County, the Summit Schemo series. These are Frisco and Breck, and then you have another. Some of my favorites are the New Mexico ones, the Fireball Rando in
Yeah,
Ski Santa Fe, and then I think you've done the Taos one in the past, and,
yeah,
and those
yeah,
are
yeah.
super cool terrain. And then some of them, the Taos or excuse me, Santa Fe and Winter Park, etc., are also part of the National Cup series. Tell us what
hmm
that means. USA National Cup series. I've come across some, whether it's age groupers or elite athletes, who are kind of they're in the series, they're going for the points, that kind of thing. What does that mean, and what does it mean as an organizer? And are there specifications in terms of gear list and so forth for those events?
Yeah, yeah. And so when I was racing, there was like one or two USA Skimo qualifier races. And so when I started moving to the I was chief of course for the A Basin and the Vail USA National Cup races 5 years ago or whatever. And so
Hmm.
it was like a one, all right, you top three are on the team on list. And so it's kind of evolved to a series,
I
which
remember that.
is great, which
Yeah.
it's really nice. And it's kind of they're doing a good job kind of experimenting to try to have a couple in each, not to be geographically like bias, and so that's been nice. And this year I think they've upped their numbers again. We're back to last year they were like, we want one per state, and then so it's they're trying to figure that out, and I think they'll find a nice balance. But yeah, so that's the course markings requirements. They want us to have I don't know, not the little pin flags, the 2 foot things, but like, so I've been creating like 4 foot flags or 5 foot gates, just to have more visibility to, not the ISMF, International Ski Mountaineering Federation, has rules and regulations that, USA Skimo follows. And so they're not super, like, they're not super strict on like the flagging and all of this, but that's like kind of their goal, is the course marks similar to an ISMF race, but there are more strict on like the gear requirements. And so I know 4 years ago it's like, oh, people need brakes, people need leashes, people need dual cert helmets, and like people weren't doing the race because that was a pretty big barrier to entry. Now it's
Right.
kind of, I still think it is kind of a big barrier to entry. So I'm working with USA Skimo to try to figure out a way that we can get like a recreation category where somebody who's on big skis and only has a bike helmet can do it. But it is a safety thing. So like dual cert, triple cert helmets are safer. Like, and there are more options now. Like, unless you're buying old gear, the brakes, are all like, you can get brakes on bindings now, brakes with your bindings, and
Yeah.
they're pretty
Most of them.
great. And so yeah, there was a growing pain, um, with the sanctioning, with the gear requirements, but I mean they're meant to make you more safe. It's like some people could say leashes aren't as safe as brakes, or the brakes don't actually do anything, but the intention is there.
Yeah. Excellent. Oh, thanks for sharing that. And final question about the National Cup, just to clarify, my understanding is that if someone's listening to that and they're an elite athlete or maybe a younger athlete who wants to make the junior national team and be part of that through USA Skimo, these certified national cup races are the chance to sort of show yourself, get points, and then hopefully kind of, I think, be brought into the fold of the national team, is my understanding. Because some of the national team members may not do any of these races in a given year because they're in Europe or other places
Yeah.
doing World Cups, etc. So it's more of becoming a newer member of the team, or gaining the noticing of coaches, that kind of thing. Is that kind of how it works?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because it has been evolving. Every year is slightly, they refine it and evolve it. Last year, I didn't, like you said, it didn't have very many athletes because there was a big push for athletes to be in Europe. And
Hmm.
then, and so I think that's kind of, gonna kind of evolve. I mean, every other year there's a ISMF World Championship, and that's historically there would only be a USA national team during a World Cup championship year. And so that's has changed. But I think, there's the pendulum swings from back and forth, and now they're slowly getting back to like finding a really nice sweet spot to how to make the team and all of that. And so I
Yeah,
think, but yeah,
cool.
the participating in the USA Cup series is how you're going to achieve that.
Nice. Excellent. Yeah. And again, for the listeners, RockyMountainSchemo.com. Just great place to, if you're an age grouper or, whatever, you're a runner, you're a cyclist, triathlete, and you want to start. I mean, especially if you're in, Colorado or the West, check that out and put a race on your schedule. And again, maybe reach out to Mark, find one. If your downhill skills are this or your uphill skills are that, find one that suits you, because they are
Yeah,
wherever you're at. They're out
the
there.
Granby one is, yeah, the Granby one is pretty easier skiing. It's a really good one, good intro.
Yeah.
Whereas like the Meadow Mountain race, it's a purely backcountry race, and
Mhm.
so it's kind of, so yeah.
So, Mark, what about backcountry races? We have these, the Grand Traverse, and some of these other. There's a few underground ish races that kind of may exist from Arrowhead to Vale, or something. I think people are interested in these kinds of things. Is this something you've explored? What are the ideas? What do you think would be cool? And what are the barriers to having other epic point to point or loop or things like this.
Yeah, yeah, like, and that, yeah, because I mean, traverses, like, we're just talking about traverses, like, I've tried, "Oh, let's traverse from A basin to Copper or Cooper to Copper,"
Mm,
and, like, thinking
mhm,
about all these link ups that I've done, not in a race or done, like, as a social, it's and, I've reached out, had meetings, submitted permits, to Forest Service, and that's the big barrier is, here, at least here in the US or Colorado maybe, is the barrier of getting a permit. Here in Summit County,
mm,
pretty much I've been told, like, one last year we didn't go to the summit of Peak 9 and 10 in Breck 5 Peaks because the Forest Service said you have to stay all in or all out of the resort boundaries. And so it's like, and then they're like, we're not issuing any new permits for anything outside of resorts. So it's just like a non-starter for that. It's like, well, what about Copper to Cooper? It's like, well, that goes through lynx habitat. So we would need a couple year study on the lynx population to do that. And oh yeah, by the way, that position's not filled. So like we can't even start the study. Um,
the links biologist.
right, right. I actually I think that was a couple years ago when I talked to them. I think they did find somebody, so it could be. But
Okay,
like then I
well, that's good.
reached out to Meadow Mountain, the Ranger district there, and Cal, he's great, and he's like, yeah, let's figure out how we can make this work. What kind of course is safe? Like we don't want it to be in the dark. We don't want it to be on a busy weekend. We don't want it to interfere with our snowmobile paid traffic. And so it's just a lot of
Uh-huh.
trying to work with them and having a ranger that is very pro and understands Skimo. Like I think Cal would, yeah, ski with like the Teague Holmes types of that generation of skimos. He's always doing it on big skis, but he understands ski mountaineering racing a
Mhm.
little bit. But yeah, and then he's told me, he's like, yeah, if you can get Breck, Beaver Creek, and Vale on board for the head to head, we don't have to make it a bandit race anymore. And if we could sanction it and it could be something cool, but like that's not even a starter for conversations in and around Summit. And I think the over by Wolf Creek I had asked, and they weren't interested. So it's really person dependent, and even by like even in that regard, it's resort dependent. Like I've been trying to get
Mm,
other resorts, and some have said no, we're not interested in having uphill races. Some have said that we don't want you to have an uphill race on a black diamond, double black diamond, because you skinny skiers can't ski hard stuff. Like literally a head of ski patrol told me that. It's like, yeah, but is so yeah, it's very much, and then a lot of resorts want to keep them in house, and so like historically where we've had these bigger races, USA National Cup races, the resorts have been starting to keep them in house, or um yeah, and so it's just every is yeah, the whole dynamic of everything is, yeah, so it's a fun puzzle.
interesting. Yeah, yeah, I'm sure, and a lot of relationships, and like you said, person specific in terms of, rangers, et cetera. And I think, Mark, it probably speaks to a lot of the work that you're doing off season. I can imagine once the ski season starts, you're bing bang boom, and those permits have been set, the dates have been set long ago, and you're just kind of doing the final touches. I imagine a lot of this planning is spring and summer for the following winter. It's a lot
One
of
would think.
organization, executive function. Back to the middle school teaching, huh?
Right? One would think, yeah, I would love to try to get some of these things done in spring schedule wise, but a lot of resorts, like, let's talk in September. And then September turns to
Oh,
October,
really?
and
Okay.
oh yeah, so it's been really
Yeah.
challenging. Like, and then trying, like, this year with the calendar, the calendar has been really challenging because the USA Skimo wants it to be a part of your national cup series, but oh, we have two races that want it to be that same weekend. Can you move it? Can we move it? And then it's just creates a whole domino thing, and that's kind of what's happening this year. And it's like there's still a chance that the Breck 5 Peaks is gonna like change dates because Silverton is
Mm,
that same day, and USA Skimo
yep.
sanctioned them, and so it's just like, oh, because they had to switch because of another one. It was just it's a domino thing, and so
Mm,
it's been a
interesting.
big challenge this year, and so
Yeah. Hmm.
but
All righty.
I
As
thought it
you
would
think
be
about
easier.
yeah, yeah. We always think everything's going to be easier, huh?
Yeah.
um, Mark, as you think about the events that you put on at RockyMountainSkimo.com, do any favorite ones come to mind for you personally? And then maybe if you were to say, if there's one race that's awesome for the seasoned skimo athlete who loves hard technical stuff, look at this one. And if there's another one that's great for the person who's newer to it, maybe wants a little
Yeah.
more groomer downhill type thing, what should they be looking at?
Right? I would wish I feel like last year was a very consistent year. I feel like the snowpack was really nice, and so I could say that's
Mm,
the course, that's the course, that's the course. I can, whereas like Wolf
yeah.
Creek was, we didn't have enough snow to do the historic cool waterfall section with the rope, or like last year we had to cancel Taos the week of because they didn't have enough snow to do anything but groomers, and
Mm,
Taos didn't want to do the race on just groomers. Like it needs to be a harder race. And so
mhm,
I wish I could have a more consistent thing. Like I mean, Winter Park is in 2 weeks and Mary Jane opens this weekend. So hopefully the storm
mhm,
coming right now will change some of the things. But like patrollers like having a consistent course. Racers I think I'm back in 50/50. Some people are like, oh, I want to do the same course so I can check my time from last year. I was like, well, snow might be colder. Or, it's just there's so many variables, and some people like
yeah.
want a different course, and so that's kind of why I put all of the races on my website. It's like so you can change it up and have a variety. But even then, it's like, well, week before we don't. I don't. You typically when I go to a resort, I go and ski the whole course, lift serve to like make sure, talk with patrol, and then do that. And so I wish I could say that. I mean, I can say Granby is mostly blue runs, groomed runs. And then Winter Park's going to be mostly bump runs. And but I'm of my whole. I mean, in Five Peaks, like 2 years ago, we got a summit 10, 9, 8, 7, and 6. Like we got to go like three peaks above 13,000 feet in a skimo race.
Mm,
It was great. We got to
yeah.
ski like the big Fourth of July bowl because the snow was super stable, and so like
Yep.
that race would have been one of my funnest if I were to be racing it. Whereas the previous year, I was on the summit of Peak 8 at 1 a.m. and yeah, 60, 80 mile an hour winds, getting knocked over, can't see anything, and it was
Yep.
-15, -20. So it's just like,
Yeah.
yeah, so hard. But
Yeah. Kind of just depends. Hmm.
yeah,
If
yeah.
I think we'll have a lot of listeners to this episode who are schemo curious, Mark, what would you
Mhm.
tell those people who are thinking they may want to try it? They probably have some sort of athletic background. Maybe it's a parent and child who wants to explore it together. Maybe it's the aging endurance athlete whose knees are getting a little pounded from the running and they just want some novelty. What's your advice to those people? And we've talked about, there are some barriers to entry, whether it's the gear or gathering the skills, figuring out where to train, because different resorts do have different policies. And if you're going to go backcountry, probably should have at least some level of education and other people with you. So, it's not super easy, but it can be done. What would you tell those people?
Um, yeah, for me, I'm trying to get like tier my races to where USA Skimo races are a little bit more on the challenging side. And then like the local Breck Ascent series, Summit Skimo series is, I mean, there's gonna be 40 kids, 40 middle school, high school youth racing, so I'm trying to keep it a little bit easier. But then the resort doesn't want me to have a race going down a blue because then people just point it and go straight, and so it's um
Mhm. Mm.
trying to figure out how that is working. But I think in general, the local series like the A Basin Rise and Shine, Copper has their memo, like a lot of I mean the Utah Skimo series, like yeah, there's a lot of local smaller-ish series that might not have as be marked as well, but they might be a little bit easier barriers to entry kind of things. Trying to on all of my bigger races have a citizen or a short course that is a little bit on the easier side of things. But it's
Yep.
like, and then like I know Steamboat, those guys up there for their Town Challenge series, they have different descents, an easy descent and a hard descent, and it's just but
Mm,
it's again,
hmm.
but then it's not marked very well, and you have to kind of know. I mean, I actually haven't been up there, so maybe it is. But like, I'm assuming if
Yeah.
you have
Okay.
two or three different descents, you're not going to have them mark all of these two or different descents per
Yeah.
descent. Like, you're not going to have them all
Yeah.
marked
Yeah.
super well. It's like, hey, follow Springmire down, or hey, follow this
Yep.
run down. Where it's more like
Yeah.
I don't know, one of the Dawes races where it's like follow this lift and all the way up there and then take a right, and it's like, man, I just get lost on all of those. I don't they don't name runs bottom up, and so but yeah, it's
Shout
kind of
out to
more
Dawes's underground races. If you've ever been
uh,
to this is classic stuff, folks. I don't know if we can talk
classic.
about it on the record, but
Well, he has less than
just read the
74.
instructions.
Yeah, he has less than 75 people, so you don't and he's not charging, and it's not marked
Yeah,
per se.
yeah,
So it's not an illegal race. It's just
yeah.
a more of an underground race. So
Exactly. No, and they're awesome. Yeah.
they are.
All right.
Yeah.
As we wrap it up here, Mark, any of your thoughts on the state of Skimo, and take that how you mean it. It could be in Summit County, it could be in Colorado, it could be in the West, or maybe in the world. Here we are. Skimo's coming to the Olympics.
Right.
What do you think about all this, Mark? And one question I think on all of our minds is, okay, here's this little niche sport that we all love. Now it's in the Olympics. Do we get this awesome boom like has happened in rock climbing, for example,
Right.
or is it back to business as usual, or somewhere in between?
Yeah. And I've been fortunate to go to Europe the last couple years to check out that scene a little bit more and just to like be a part of it and participate a little
Nice.
in a race and is like, oh, the town there is cool with shutting down Main Street so you can run, whereas very few places in the US are kosher to do that. Or you can like,
Yeah.
oh, you don't have very much snow, so you're just gonna have to walk the section. It's like or and so I think there's a yeah, I'm putting a lot of hope that it's gonna grow. I think it's interesting, whereas like people want an easier race, people want a Grand Traverse, more of a tour race. Some people want I like a Five Peaks or Taos race or Telluride where it's actually like you're skiing really steep, hard mountaineering type of things. And so, people have been I've heard that like, oh, there's too many races to choose from. It's like, well, I think races are going to start to get more specific, more like geared towards certain
Mm-hmm.
things. All right, this is going to be a mountaineering race, where you need to wear harnesses and have a via ferrata, where and none of the descents are easy. Where you might have some
Yeah.
ones that are more geared towards the I don't know, like sprints. So the Olympics are refining it and making it look what like groomer the bit like the one over in Bormio that had bank turns. Everybody's like, oh, blah blah blah, and
Hmm.
it's like I watched it, it was pretty cool. Like over the
It looks
holidays I
awesome. Yeah. Yeah.
right
Yeah. It's
over the
different and
holidays I
it's awesome.
rewatched the
Yeah.
World Cup I rewatched the World Cup with my family, and they're like, this is a cool thing to watch. Like so like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's like I just think we need more and more people. So then it's like, yeah, we have the Olympic race that is not
Yeah.
Skimo, or Skimo is neither. That bumper, that oh, I hate that. It's like, well, it
Yeah.
could be. Some of that's because we're in the US, some of that's because people don't know how to ski. Some people want to do fitness. And so it's just there's so
Yeah.
many different things that people want. Like people like ski touring and not seeing anybody and skiing powder. So why would I do a Skimo race? And so it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I
Which
think
is fine
it's
too. Yeah.
right. Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of events, like touring events that could be a fun thing as opposed
Hmm.
to a race. Like I was skinning this morning at
Yeah.
Breck and talked with a parent of a student, and she's like, yeah, it's a race. I don't really want to race. I'm gonna go skin. I was like, you're
Hmm.
gonna go skin this afternoon at the same time that this event is happening. Just do it. I'll give you a free entry. Like try it. And she's like, no, this is a race. I don't want to race. It's like, fair
Yeah.
enough.
That's fine too. Yeah.
So
Interesting. Yeah. I kind of, as I hear you saying that different races or different series, with a different flavor, just think about all the running races that happen in Colorado or all the bike races. How many different flavors and styles
right,
of cycling events are there in Colorado,
right.
from short track or the Valmont Bike Park or the Leadville 100 or a Grand Fondo or one of
Or
these huge
enduros.
organized rides. Yeah, or enduros or whatever.
I was
Like,
like, how
it's
do
all
we
riding a
turn
bike. Yeah.
right? It's like, how do we time the uphill? And some people, I want only time the downhill. I was like, well, let's just time both and have things. Or there was a race in Europe
Yeah.
that's like uphill time, downhill time, and then you got freestyle points. And it's like, then that's how it's like, that seems pretty cool
That's
too.
awesome. Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
they're doing
Cool.
it in Europe, they're changing
Yeah.
it all up. And so I think it's going to be a good thing. I'm
Yeah.
excited. I mean, that's why I'm doing it.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, that's great, man. Well, I'm excited too. Yeah, and I'm glad that you've been able to take this on, put a lot of energy into it. Hopefully, it fits well enough, with your life as a parent. And I know that you are contributing to the community, which I think is huge. Creating just a time and a place for people to come together and do something that they're psyched about. That's really important. So, way to go.
Thanks. Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. It's fun.
Yeah. All right, Mark. Any final things? RockyMountainSchemo.com. That's the website. I know
Yeah.
you're active on Instagram. Remind me, is that at Rocky Mountain Schemo?
Yeah, yeah, I think there might be the little underscore things because then I first created it without the
Okay.
underscore things. It like made me do a phone number thing, and yeah, so I think that one's gone. So
Okay. So
I
few
have it, but it's
underscores. So
somewhere.
start typing in. Yeah. Okay. I've seen it. I found it pretty easy too. So
Yeah.
look for that. Anything else you want to share that people should know before we sign off?
No, I've been yeah, I've been yeah, whatever your choice of ski width or thing as long as you're going uphill, like I feel like that's a good thing. I have split board categories in all of my races because I was a split boarder, even
Oh
though
yeah.
nobody
Yeah.
wants to do
Yep.
it. And so it's just all right. Yeah, trying to yeah, just go uphill and do these events. Even if you don't do a
Yeah.
race, like treat it as an event. It's like I want to train for this or whatever. So yeah,
Yeah, good. I love it, Mark. And there are split borders. I've seen them in some of the races. I've seen
yeah. I
Chris
had a
Klug and Chris
mono.
Kelly split board in the Power of Four.
They don't allow split borders in the Grand Traverse. I tried to do that I think like 10 years ago, and they said no. But
Yeah.
no,
Okay.
I had a split mono skier do Five Peaks last year. He's like he had mono
Holy
he did a
cow.
mono ski, but it was a split mono ski. I've never seen that one before. So
Yeah.
so
I
yeah,
saw yesterday morning. I was out skinning at Monarch, and I don't know if it was the same guy. But he was. I saw him going up. I thought it was just normal skis, and then I saw him shredding down on that monoboard. It was pretty cool. So, all
right.
right, folks, keep skiing uphill. Mark, keep
Yeah,
up the good work. Good luck with
thank you.
your event tonight. Good luck to all those kids. I hope it keeps snowing, and hope to see you at a
Yeah,
starting line soon one of these days.
yeah. See you soon.
Hey, folks, thanks as always for listening to Skimo Gold. Be sure to follow Mark and Rocky Mountain Skimo. You can find them on Instagram. You can find them on the good old website, the internet. Sometimes I feel old when I even talk about a website, as I learned that these younger generations, man, they don't even go to websites. It's just Instagram. But no matter how old you are or what you like or don't like, you can find Rocky Mountain Skimo. You can find a race that is good for you and maybe your family or your friends, your kids. They've got something for everyone, and I love that. I love that Mark is creating opportunities, as we discussed, for young skimo athletes to train. Super cool to see that. You can find my stuff at travismacy.com, books, endurance coaching, and more. You can find our usual co-host Cam Smith. He's over there in Europe, getting ready for the Olympics, doing the World Cups. That's at Cam from CB. And of course, you can support this podcast. Rate, review, subscribe, share it out, check it out on podcast and on YouTube. We got a bunch of shorts on YouTube. We need your help, and we really appreciate it as we build to the Olympics. Big things coming, folks, with Skimo Gold in the Olympics. All right, have a good week, and we will catch you next time on Skimo Gold.